Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this very, in my opinion anyway, and I'm the host, so I guess my opinion counts for something around here. Very special edition of Talk Wrestling. It's less talk wrestling and more talk taker. This is a tribute episode to the legendary career of one Mark Calloway. We know him as the Undertaker. We know him as the Undertaker for 30 years. We've only recently even really heard him addressed as Mark in WWE circles. So, but I'm talking about more than just the Undertaker, the character, although the primary function of the show today is Undertaker discussion. I do want to talk about Mark Calloway. I do want to talk about the guy that had a brief blip in WCW before the world of wrestling changed for the better. I put a post up yesterday. If you guys missed it, I highly encourage you to go check it out over on Facebook and Instagram, and I think I linked it on Twitter, but I may have just shortened it to a short tweet, drawing the parallels between Undertaker's entry into WWE and my time being a wrestling fan. I believe I had a typo when I said a little under a year. It's actually been a little over a year since I became a fan in October of 1990, and like I said in the post yesterday, I ended up watching wrestling after it was brought to my attention at a after school show and tell thing. Basically, it was a WCW action figure that was brought to my attention, and it was Lex Luger. I'll throw it out there, who actually faced Mean Mark Callis in WCW for the U.S. Championship back in the day. So a little bit of a connection there on multiple fronts, but I started watching officially in October of 1990, and it was Superstars of Wrestling, the WWF program that was syndicated on the weekends, that I first really was drawn to, and it was Hulk Hogan, and it was guys like that really drew me in. But a month and a half after I started watching, we saw this ghastly, ghoulish figure walk down the aisle with Brother Love, and there he was. He was the Undertaker, and I had not seen WCW at this point, so I didn't know who Mark Calloway was or had been or whatever, and I was just mesmerized by this figure. Gorilla Monsoon, the late great Gorilla Monsoon, clocked him in at about 6'9", 10 and a half mark. He was right around there at the time. 328 pounds was his weight for a good chunk of his career prior to the return of the Dead Man in 2004. And he was just this imposing figure, and he was everything I feel that the WWF was at that time, as far as completely over the top gimmick. This almost Frankenstein's monster / Michael Myers type character, where no matter what you threw at him, he never went down. His first loss officially on TV as the Undertaker did not come until 13 months into his career almost. So he was just an amazing aura, amazing presence. I am going to get to the chat room right now. Let me just go ahead and throw them up there right now. Hello, Kobe. Hello, Mr. Anderson. Hello, Cleaver Colin Andrew. NoDQ.com/Colin. Throw it out there now. Hello in Saudi Arabia. I appreciate you watching, brother. I know it's late as fuck back there, so thank you so much. Hello, Calvin. I believe this is Brendan. So hello, Brendan. You're in the group chat, the group page, so thank you very much. I always feel old when I talk about wrestling with with the youngins I talk to nowadays, Brian. So don't feel too bad. And I'm getting educated on the Mid-South and world class days. So fear not, you are not alone, sir. Big Baller G, Jeff, what's in the house? What's in the house? Jeff's in the house. What's going on, brother? Thank you for being here. My favorite Undertaker gimmick was the Ministry of Darkness. I will get to that. I promise you I will get to the Ministry of Darkness in the next, before Raw goes on the air at 8 o'clock tonight. So keep that in mind. And yeah, it's 1 a.m. back there, which means you guys are 10 hours ahead. Holy crap. That's crazy that I'm being watched 10 hours ahead of me. So you know what I'm going to say. You're in the future. What am I going to say the next 2 hours? Horrible dad joke. I know. I did put the link out there on Facebook and Twitter to join the chat room if you guys wanted to come in, because I refuse to do this by myself for 2 hours, because I know much more of you are fans of The Undertaker than just me or just Stat Boy or just Greg or JJ if he's around or whoever. I know that a lot of you out there that watch this show, that watch my streams each and every day, each and every week on this channel, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, have an Undertaker story, opinion, whatever the case may be. And I really encourage you guys to follow the link that's on the ticker there, and please come in and join me in the chat room. I'm going to bring in, we had a guy on earlier. We did a episode, recorded an episode of one of our shows, and his presence was so that I really wanted to have him on for this show, because I knew he'd have a great story, because he was a great storyteller on the show he was on with us today that we pre-recorded, and he ended up having an Undertaker story. So I wanted to bring him on, and he has a link in his inbox right now, so hopefully he is making his way in. Let's see. What's up, Joey? Thank you for coming in, Joey. I appreciate you being. I know you're at work, brother. I know it's going to be hard for you to break away and watch the whole thing. So I appreciate you being here while you're here, Joey. Thank you so much. Colin, I will be there at 6:30. That's not too long from now, so no worries. Yeah, I agree. By the way, let me throw it out there right now. If you guys have not seen the Undertaker Last Ride documentary, all 5 parts, turn this show off right now. And I mean now, this very second, because there will be spoilers ahead. So, and I refuse to ruin this for you guys of my own choice, because it's worth me losing a viewer in real time as opposed to on demand for you guys to see this documentary. So please, if you've not seen the whole 5-part series, I'm done. Cancel me out for the day. I'll be back later. So thank you for understanding that I want to keep this thing pure. Calvin Bowman says, my favorite Undertaker match was him versus Mankind for the 1998 Hell in a Cell match. Of course, that's a classic Undertaker moment, one of the bigger ones for sure. It's one of the biggest moments in WWF history, period. So, hang on one second, guys. I apologize for the delay as I look off camera. If you're on audio, then you know what I'm talking about. So, okay, let me turn that down. There we do that there. Okay, so I want to bring in somebody that's already in, and we'll go ahead and bring him in. Big Baller G, I should say. Let me get that name right. Hang on a second, G. I want to make this look right because I forgot to put the background back on. Hang on.
Oh, you're fine.
Where's my background? It was so pretty. There it is. There we go. Okay,
there we go. Awesome.
Get rid of the comments because I want to see thank you, Taker. There we go. Get rid of the banner because I want to see thank you. There's so much shit on this website. There we go. Okay. So you were gracious enough to brave a couple episodes of the old school show that ended up not panning out because I honestly just didn't have enough feedback that was positive enough for me to keep going until WrestleMania next year. And
yeah,
honestly, the documentary really kind of filled that void as far as wanting to talk about Undertaker stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys right now, I'm not kidding. Turn this show off right now. We're about to get spoiler heavy up in this bitch. Cut this shit off. So you watched as I watched, probably at the same time I watched, because I was up all night Saturday because I was working, because that's what I do. And I ended up catching it when it first got posted. So of course it's Father's Day. So, it's an emotional day anyway for all of us dads. And I am just a complete fucking wreck the entire day after watching the show. And I know that Undertaker was important to you because you wouldn't have come on Old School with me if he wasn't. And
absolutely.
I have to know a couple things. What were you thinking Sunday or yesterday during the live show, the airing of The Last Ride, and what is your enduring Undertaker memory?
Well, I actually got done with part 5 not too long ago. Actually, maybe like about 4:00 Eastern my time.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I don't mind watching it right away, but I was like, I got other stuff I got to get done and stuff like that. So I was like, let me just watch it today where I got time and whatnot. So I did.
Right.
Man, my favorite Undertaker moment that I can really honestly think of is in 2004 when he came back to Madison Square Garden for WrestleMania 20.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. You got to remember, like I told you, I had started watching wrestling in late 99.
Okay.
So, I was starting to get into it. And, I saw the Ministry, the version of Undertaker when he was with the Ministry and whatnot. And
right.
The American Badass. And, you can go on the network and watch all those matches and stuff like that. But the thing that resonates with me is when he came back in 2004 as the Old School Undertaker.
Yep.
So.
I thought it was a cool hybrid of both. Like he brought back the music and the entrance and everything, but the attire was still very
American
big
Badass.
Evil, American Badass, right? Yeah. So that was a cool little hybrid, and I did like it. I'll throw it out there right now. I was completely tripping during WrestleMania when he talked about the Unholy Trinity being brought in, and it was like, oh, it's got to be the Brewer, it's got to be DX. It ended up being the American Badass, the Dead Man, and Mark. Yep. It was like, why didn't we all go there in our head? Like, what the fuck? Why are we not in that space in our head 2.5 months ago? Like, it's so obvious now, right?
Right. Yeah. It's
silly.
Like when he first said it, like you just said, I was like, okay, they bring in somebody back. Is it going to be Kane and somebody else? But right. then when you watch the match, you're like, I see now.
Yeah, I mean, the American Badass rolled in, right? And then he, we got a little bit of the, what do you call it? The Dead Man there with the smoke and mirrors type stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then we had Mark just defending his wife's honor. So it was a great. And looking back, we all kind of half wondered if it was going to be the last one. And looking back now at the end of Sunday's documentary, it's like it is the perfect way to hang it up. Now, I had my dad flat out come to me and go, "Do you think this is it?" And I said, you know what? I said the same thing about Sean 10 years ago, and it blew up in my ass. So I don't know. I want to believe that if anybody, and I mean anybody in this business, can say he's at peace with himself, he's earned that rest, he's ready to ride off into that sunset on that Harley, it's got to be Mark Calloway.
Yeah. Like, when I was watching the documentary and he was talking about how his brother had died and how Michelle's nephew had passed away.
Which I had no idea about till yesterday. I completely, I mean, that was not made public, so.
So I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, if any time is perfect, this is the perfect time. He's getting up in age. He's got a young daughter who's going, he does, I'm sure he doesn't want to miss anything else. So, this is the perfect time for him to hang up the boots. He has nothing else to prove, Jeff. Nothing else to prove.
Right. And
even Michelle even said, he already had stamped his legacy back in like 2010 with his match with Shawn and everything. After that,
Yeah.
I think he just did it. He did it out of the kindness of his heart for Vince, because he knew Vince still wanted him around and whatnot. And so I think Taker was like, okay, I'm gonna do it for you, Vince.
Right. I have stood on the hill of WrestleMania 28 should have been it.
Yeah.
Like Hell in a Cell, end of an era. It was
Yep.
advertised exactly as it was. It should have been the end of it, because
Yeah.
you figure that was the last time we saw Shawn Michaels directly involved in competition until
that fiasco at Super Showdown
in Saudi Arabia. Yeah,
Crown Jewel.
whatever Crown Jewel, whatever it was. Yeah. So yeah, it was just it was bad, and I was very upset with a lot of things. I was morbidly upset that Ric Flair came back, because I was there for him and Shawn. I was like, really, motherfucker, you took it away from me? Really? And when Shawn came back, it was like, I've been saying for 10 years, you'd be the one guy that wouldn't do it, you son of a bitch.
Yeah,
and
sure.
It's like, ugh. So I want to believe that this is Undertaker's last ride, because I don't think he would have allowed the documentary to take place if it wasn't going to be it. Right?
No.
So that's how I feel. So we got your memory. I appreciate you being on, Big G. We got people in the queue, so
not
Big
a problem.
G, do not forget, you have a spot on Thursday in the NerdQ review, because I boogard your ass out of that. So jump on by all means and carry on, my wayward son. So all right. We'll see you next time,
Jeff.
Sir.
Take it easy.
Sir. Appreciate it. All right. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we had a gentleman that we recorded another Jeff Meacham centric show with earlier today, and he was talking about his experiences in the business as a fan, and he happened to mention he had an Undertaker story, and it's a damn good story, so I wanted to bring him on right now. Scott, how are you, Scott? Good to see you again today. Got a little bit of a clicker going on. I don't know if it's the phone or what, so you have to bear with me. Do me a favor, though. If you can, rotate your phone horizontal so you get a better... perfect. Much. Right. Okay, your audio is not so good compared to this morning, but we'll work with it. You were telling me earlier, because you, as we were talking off air with the crew we were with this morning, that you showed me a picture of the Undertaker autograph that you had, and we were talking about autographs and pictures, and the fact that he charged way less for your autograph that you got than he did the ones in LA. So hell with that. But you were at Raw 25.
Yes, I was. And surprisingly enough, Raw 25 was not in any part of that 5-part documentary series. I thought they were going to touch on Raw 25, because that was the first appearance he had made on camera from WrestleMania 33, which was, supposed to be his retirement.
Right.
But they went right past that. They went right to the Greatest Royal Rumble after WrestleMania 33. So they didn't even touch on Raw 25, which I was very surprised. But I was lucky enough. I was at Raw 25. I've been a wrestling fan since 1990. So of course grew up on Monday Night Raw. And so they did the double show. They did the Barclays Center and they did the Manhattan Center. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get tickets to Manhattan Center.
Right.
So sure enough, that's what I did. And I made it into a 3-night thing. I drove down to New York City. I'm from Connecticut, by the way, so I'm not too far away.
Okay.
But I drove down to New York City and did that on Sunday. Checked into a hotel. The hotel is actually connected to the Manhattan Center. So surprise, there was actually a lot of people there, a lot of wrestlers, a lot of nostalgia, a lot of legends. They came and gone, and I kid you not, the next day, Monday, I'm just walking the streets of New York City, and New York City is, it's crowded. And I would walk by Daniel Bryan on the streets of Manhattan, right by Broadway. And it was nuts. But the tip of everything, like I said, I was in the Manhattan Center, and the show that night, the Manhattan Center fans, it wasn't the greatest show in the world in the Manhattan Center, because we felt left out because Barclays was getting all the good stuff.
Right.
But we did get Undertaker's appearance that night, which was absolutely amazing. But my day was made a little bit earlier. Probably around lunchtime that day, I decided me and my buddies, we went to the old WWF New York. So for those of you that remember the old WWF New York restaurant, then it was the World. Now it's a Hard Rock. It's a Hard Rock Cafe.
Because everybody's a Hard Rock now, so you know.
So we went to the Hard Rock, and there were some wrestling fans outside with, like, I remember like photos of like AJ Styles to get signed and things like that. So I was like, I think something's going on here. And I'd been to that Hard Rock before, so I was like, oh, well, let's just go and let's have a drink. And me and my buddies, we sit at the bar. It's not packed, as you would think like New York City anything would be. Not packed at all. We're probably including us, less than 10 people at the actual bar.
Wow.
And we sit down, we order a round of drinks. Before the bartender even gets our drinks for us, Taker walks by. And I literally had goosebumps. The hair was standing on my arms. I was like, not expecting that whatsoever. And I'm just like, holy crap. And he walks by us probably about like 20, 30 feet away. And he was with someone, and I didn't know who he was with until she later got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame via the Warrior Award. And that was, if I say her name right, Sue Aitchison.
Close enough. That works.
Okay. And so, and you know, she went into the Hall of Fame for all her work with Make-A-Wish. And it turned out that they were doing a Make-A-Wish thing there that day at the Hard Rock in the studio portion of the not the studio portion, but the stage portion of the Hard Rock. And so then Undertaker was with her, and then he's like waiting, I guess, like kind of over near where the restrooms are. And you know, me and my buddies were just like, oh my God, Undertaker just walked by us. Like, what do we do? And the bartender, he actually told us, he's like, well, he's just standing over there. He's like, why don't you go ask him for a picture? And I've got a lot of pictures with a lot of wrestlers, and I've gone up, you know, and asked them, and you know, they're always very nice and take a picture. But I have never in my life been more scared to ask anyone for a photo in my life, because I mean, it's the Undertaker. He's got this presence about him.
Yes.
And so me and my buddy Jason, I kid you not, I'm like slowly tiptoeing, like I don't know what to do, and I'm slowly tiptoeing towards the Undertaker, and he's just standing there. There's nobody bothering him, nothing. He's just standing there by himself. Whoa. And I'm just slowly tiptoeing towards him, and I'm just like, excuse me, Mr. Undertaker, sir. And then I'm about to maybe try to ask, however I'm gonna spit it out, and my buddy Jason just goes, Undertaker, are you in a selfie mood?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And he just blurted it out. He just went ahead and said it. And wow. Undertaker, he kind of looks at us. He looks one way and he goes, am I in a selfie mood? And he's asking himself. Then he looks the other way and he says it again. Am I in a selfie mood? And then he looks back at us and then he goes, I don't think I've ever been in a selfie mood. And I'm like, oh my God, what is he going to say next? And then
my God.
He goes, but you guys caught me at a good time.
Nice.
And sure enough, he took pictures with us. And I think you have it if you want to show it up.
I've got yours right there. There it is, man. Oh my God.
The lighting's terrible, but if you've ever been to that WWF New York Hard Rock, over where near the restrooms are,
yes.
It is very dark there. And it's the Undertaker. Everything's got to be dark about him anyway, right?
Right. Yeah. I tried to. I did a little Photoshop work with the lighting and the clarity, and I even did this just to see if it would, but it was just a train wreck. So
yeah.
Yeah. But no, you're good. No, trust me. You have no idea how much I'm completely fanboying over the fact that there's a picture of Undertaker with somebody I'm talking to on my show. I'm like, So, yeah.
So even though the show at the Manhattan Center, wasn't all the best in the world, my day was already made with Undertaker.
Oh,
if
for
you look
sure.
closely at that photo, you could tell I was all about being in 1993 because I got an Ico Pro shirt on, and I'm actually, you can't really tell, but that's a Ribera Steakhouse jacket.
If you're in the know enough, that's a Ribera Steakhouse jacket. You can totally tell what that is, and you can see the ICAPRO logo in the middle of your chest there. So you kind of.
And I don't think I actually had Zubaz on too, but I was still wearing jeans during the day. I was like, I can't walk around New York City with Zubaz. I'll wait till the show later that night.
Right, of course. That's fantastic. I dig it. That is just too cool that you. It's like I said, we were doing the recording this morning. He came out here a couple of times after the alleged last one, right? And he was at one of our a collectible warehouse type place out here at San Bernardino area, and he was charging like $200 for a picture, $200 for autograph, and I went, if it was anybody but you, I wouldn't, but I will because my dad, and they sold out. I was like, shit. Then he did the LAX thing, and it was even more. I'm like, dude, like, I get that you're dead. I don't need you to deaden my wallet in the process. Like, holy crap. So the fact you paid $100 for each, I was like, I'm even more envious now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that night I was lucky enough. I got that photo with him for free.
Right.
What I was telling you earlier is I did get to meet him again earlier this year. It was I think it was the first or second weekend in March. It was literally right before the pandemic like really hit, and then like everything stopped. It was honestly, I'm pretty sure it was the last wrestling convention before everything hit, and it was the big event.
It was because the weekend after that, I was down at my sister's, kind of taking a siesta, if you will, and that weekend the shit hit the fan. I had to either come back here and stay quarantined at home or stay quarantined at a hospital. So it was I had a very simple choice to make once I left my sister's house. So the weekend before would have been the last weekend of anything.
Yeah, because that was the same weekend as like the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and then that Monday's Raw still had a crowd. But that week's SmackDown on Friday did not started Performance Center.
Yep.
But that was it was $100 autograph, $100 picture. Since I already had the picture, I just did 2 autographs, and I'll show one of them to you guys. I was able to get that signed.
See, that is like the picture I would get a Undertaker fan to have Undertaker sign, because that's just vintage Undertaker right there. Yeah. That's a badass 8x10. I dig that.
So that's one of my prized possessions, and he was really cool that day too, man. I mean, he had you watch the documentary and you see how much respect he has for Madison Square Garden,
right?
And that's what he was wearing. He was wearing like one of those I think it might be a Roots of Fight t-shirt, if you know what I'm talking about, but it said Madison Square Garden all over it, and that's what he was representing that day. Not in that picture.
Oh, okay,
but,
okay.
But the other autograph signing he did.
And,
he was real cool, man, and I just thanked him for his time and everything. And what can I say, man? He's Taker. He's Taker, man.
It's hard to, we've had the discussion for the last 12, 15 years of Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair as far as being the greatest of all time. And, they stand there neck and neck, and, they met in Ric Flair's last official match. So it's 1 and 1A, right? But The Undertaker, I think, has this title all to himself as far as the greatest character. If there's any greater character, and a character that has developed so well in the last 30 years, I defy somebody to hop on this show and tell me who it is.
It was amazing about the entire documentary is we kind of always just only knew about the character. We never got to see Mark Calloway, and then it was just cool to see that peel back from behind the curtain. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah,
we got a brief, a little glimpse of that during the invasion, because they did a WWF home video release, This Is My Yard, or It's My Yard, or something like that, and they talked to The Undertaker, and he was, in the do-rag and the sunglasses, and he was still, but it was very much more Mark than he had ever been before. And that was all we ever got of Mark Calloway until the last 2.5 months. Right. So it was very, I dare say, surreal to see this unfold. And I will not, stand ashamed or sit ashamed, because I'm sitting on my fat ass right now, at the fact that when they started to get to the end of part 5 and the music started swelling a little bit, and he was talking about the Cowboy Rides Away, when Troubadour hit, I'm a fucking wreck. I'm just complete.
I was saying that.
Dude, George Strait is my jam, and George Strait's Love Without End, Amen is my text tone and my ringtone when my son calls me. All right, so George Strait is right here. And when that Cowboy rode away from live performing, however many years ago it was, and I didn't get to go, that shit tugged at my heartstrings. So to see this Cowboy ride away after 30 years, it's been an emotional 24 hours, to say the very least. So I am so tickled that you that you got to meet him more than once. You got the great picture. It's fuzzy. It is what it is, but it's still a picture with the Undertaker, and I am forever jealous of you. And I can't wait to show the world your other appearance that we recorded earlier today. And I look forward to having you on. I also want to give you a chance, since we're here live today, as opposed to waiting another 2 months, please plug your podcast and your stuff, because the stuff we talked about this morning is it's just too gold to be ignored.
All right. I got like a long list of plugs here, but
do it, please.
So those of you listening, if you want to follow me, I'm at gotta_tweet_. But what I really want to do is follow my podcast at To Be Blunt Podcast. All social media, it's To Be Blunt with the number 2. We're live every Thursday night, okay, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go back, you can watch all our prior episodes. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes. But basically what we are is we're a variety show. So we do touch on wrestling, but it's not like our entire show. Like we'll talk about the funny news stories of the week. We might we have a new segment now called the Karen of the Week. So we'll pick a Karen out there and we'll dissect her and then laugh about it. So and we got plenty of game shows. One of the big things I do is it's called Stump the Scott, where if you have a WWE trivia question, you call in, you try to stump me. If I can't answer it in the 30 seconds, you win, and you'll win whatever prize we got. I do autograph wrestler 8x10s from my collection. We do Grubhub gift cards, wrestling DVDs, you name it. So feel free to call in. That's live. We run from like 6 to 7:30 every Thursday Eastern Time. I do we just started a new game show too that I do. If you follow our Instagram account, we go live Tuesday nights, 10 o'clock Eastern on Instagram, where I have a new game show called Crack the Track, where I will play a snippet of a wrestler's theme song for maybe like 5-10 seconds. And you have to guess whose theme it is. And if you do, you win a prize. I gave out a $25 Grubhub gift card last week. So
love that. That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, man. So yeah, To Be Blunt Podcast. We do a lot of drinking during the show. If you can tell by the name, To Be Blunt, you can kind of figure out what else we're doing in there. But feel free to check it out. Join us for the laughs. It's always a good time.
I think every panel podcast I listen to does some sort of alcohol or blunt paraphernalia, except mine. And I kind of feel behind the times. And you know what? Fuck it.
I was gonna say, you say that as I take a sip here.
Right. Yeah. No. Once I get my glass. My glass is elsewhere, but I will definitely be pouring the Jack here before the end of the show, hopefully. So, Scott, thank you so much. We will definitely see you on Greg Cherry Brand and my shows in the future. Your presence is something that I wish we had more of on my channel and on No DQ. So definitely be looking out for us to contact you in the future, dude. Thank you so much. Right.
Appreciate it. Thank you for that.
Take care, brother.
Look forward to hearing from you guys. Yeah.
Have a great day, man.
All right, bye.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Appreciate you coming on, brother. So, all right, let me catch up with the comments. Yes, Bader in Saudi Arabia, you can join me on video. There is a link scrolling across the bottom of the page that you can copy and paste into your browser. StreamYard prefers a laptop or a desktop. If you only have a phone, we get it. It is what it is. But yeah, you're more welcome to join the show. Please come on. I want to have people on the show. I want to have people in the chat room with me and on the video with me, because 2 hours of me talking about Taker is not all that fun, right? But other people definitely want to I want to have other contributors. Thank you very much. The most recent YouTube comment, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. I love that you're watching. It's wonderful that you're watching. So thank you very much. Who do we got here, Jeff? The gentleman's name was Scott. We had him. We recorded a future episode of one of our podcasts with him earlier today, and his story about Undertaker and Raw 25 just drew me in like a moth to a flame, and I had to have him share it on the air. So that was really awesome. So, and I agree with Kobe. If the Undertaker's ever near you, go to a meet and greet or an event, because it does not matter what you're charging. What he's charging, find a way to make it happen. You got to you got to get on there and make it happen, because he's a once in a lifetime performer. He really is. He is the greatest of all time, as far as characters, as far as presence, as far as all that. He's just the best. Hang on one second here. I don't want to do the national anthem in my head just now, but that's okay. So, I will give people a couple minutes to see if they want to come on in. I know we're waiting on Colin at 6:30-ish, and it's past that, so I want to give him a little more time to come on in. And as they say on at Garth Brooks shows, there you go. Drew Robinson with a big old memory. His pay-per-view promo packages have always been legendary sets. The WrestleMania 23 one Batista about intimidation and the mind games taught me what a wrestling feud was. I'll never forget when he returned Unforgiven in 2007, crawling out of the desert, like in the Big Show promo, and main eventing against Mark Henry. That was pretty cool. That was a definite cool moment. He's had so many cool, undeniable, unique moments like that where they're just so quintessentially Undertaker, right? So it's again, I can't say it enough how awesome the Undertaker is. So I get off a Klimt. Like I said on my post yesterday, and I'll it's he and I share a WWF not really debut, because he worked for the company. I haven't, and I probably won't. But he started working for them around the same time I started watching wrestling, and I've been with him the entire ride up until this last ride yesterday. So it's very surreal and very weird for me to think of wrestling the WWE without the Undertaker directly full-time involved. He hasn't been for a while, I mean, let's be honest, but to think of him not being around even at all, except for an occasional, like for the Hall of Fame induction, if it happens next year, please God, let it happen next year if it's here in LA. But I think my favorite moment, because a lot of people were asking my favorite Undertaker moment, my favorite Undertaker moment, God, it's hard to really narrow it down to just one. Oh God, let me think about it over the course of the show, and I'll reveal my favorite at the end. Again, you guys want to come in? The thing's right. Let's see, it's right there right now. StreamYard.com/8BV9QTRWAC. I got it all out. Yay me, I can read fast. Come on in. Share your Taker memories. Share your moments with the Undertaker. Just let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know what you guys are thinking about Undertaker and where he has come and where he is going and things like that. My favorite Undertaker build for a match has got to be WrestleMania 14 against Kane. Kane said it when he inducted Paul a few years ago, and I firmly believe that the Undertaker Kane story from start to whenever it does finish, if it ever does truly have a definitive finish, is the greatest single story told in the history of wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. That whole saga with Paul turning on Undertaker and Undertaker lighting Paul's face on fire the following April, and Paul threatening to reveal the secret of the Undertaker's deep, dark past, and Undertaker being blackmailed into reuniting with Paul in 97, and then having enough and snapping and beating the shit out of him, and then Paul revealing the secret that Kane was his long-lost brother and that he had died in the fire the Undertaker had set that killed his parents, and yet Kane was still alive. And we had not seen this this monster ever in WWE. And Undertaker was only 7 years in by then, which is even scarier to think about. That was 23 years ago. Like, wow. The Kane's debut at Bad Blood, the Hell in the Cell match. That match, Shawn Michaels alone, the match itself is fucking amazing. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. And then the match at WrestleMania, and then the Royal Rumble moment where he lit the casket on fire, and the Undertaker disappeared out of the casket, and then he returned for Mania, the Inferno match, and everything that happened in '98, and just the way it evolved over time was just so freaking amazing and so well done. It's the most epic piece of storytelling in wrestling, and I am forever grateful to have been coming into my own and having my formative years during that time period in wrestling history where I was able to see that firsthand and go, wow, and just be wowed. Now, Adam Dwight brings up a very interesting memory. My favorite moments were the early 90s where he put the jobbers in the body bags at the end of the matches. You never saw those jobbers again, and you thought their ashes were in the urine. Yeah. My first ever show that I ever went to in my entire fandom of wrestling was a house show in June of '91. And if I'm not mistaken, The Undertaker wrestled the Ultimate Warrior at that show in a body bag match where the winner literally had to zip his opponent up in a body bag. So I got that match, and I got a Desert Storm match between Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter for the title in the same show. It was batshit, but it was great. So yeah, the body bag matches are always good. SummerSlam '94 always sticks out in my mind. SummerSlam '94 return always sticks out in my head from my childhood, says Scott, who we just had. Thank you again, Scott, for coming on. Yeah, that SummerSlam '94 thing was just trippy as hell. Not the best outing for The Undertaker, right? But it was a cool little story. And I'm sure the gentleman in the green room right now has a wonderful Undertaker story or 20. So we'll go ahead and bring him in because I love having him on my podcast. I think that he's grossly underused in the podcast world at large. He is the Cleaver. He is Colin Andrew. What's up, brother?
What's happening? What's up, YouTube?
Dude, I dig the Virtue shirt. God bless you for wearing that son bitch on the air.
Hey, he sent this to me.
Right.
We might have been super chat champions like a dozen times, but I got a free T-shirt out of it. But thanks for having me on. Always good to see you.
Always good to be seen.
So yeah, dude. So last night's Father's Day. I worked a 6-hour plus day.
Right.
Came home, had dinner with my in-laws. My wife made a lovely rigatoni dinner. My favorite pasta.
Dude, and, rigatoni is grossly underrated in the pasta world.
Dude, it's the best on anything. Alfredo, cheese, it don't matter. But so I had a couple drinks and I sat down and I watched it because that's the one thing I really wanted to do was, besides spend time with my kids and stuff, is watch this. Wow. So when George Strait hit,
right?
Like seriously, like that's worse than Leave the Memories Alone with Ric Flair, I think.
Thank you.
Like straight up. But yeah, man. I got some cool Taker stories. I've seen. See, it's weird. Like being from Cleveland, cool shit never really happens. Especially with our sports teams around here.
Well,
it is what it is. But a lot of cool Undertaker things have happened right here in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cheap pop.
But no, I remember like my first encounter with him was at the old Richfield Coliseum.
Oh my God! Wow.
If you're a wrestling fan, you should know that Coliseum.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was like back in the day. Things weren't as secure and blah 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 blah. You could have fans waiting by the back entrances. It wasn't so concealed as it is nowadays. And my old man took me up, and we were waiting before the show, and here comes The Undertaker and Paul Bearer, and right behind him is Mabel and Mo. And, let's see, the Coliseum, I want to say, got torn down when I was like 6 or 7.
That sounds about right.
it is what it is. I started watching wrestling in like 1990, early 91, somewhere around there.
Seems to be the theme of the day.
You know, Starrcade. Whatever year Vader and Sting clashed at Starrcade. That was like my first introduction to professional wrestling.
That would have been, I think, the 91 Starrcade, I think.
Okay. So I remember my papa was the WCW guy. He bought the pay-per-view.
Right.
And I happened to stay over with him that night. And 30 years later, he's been gone 15 years. But hey, you know, I still carry it on. But yeah.
So Starrcade 1990, I think, was Sting versus Rick, the Black Scorpion Flair.
Okay. And then on my 8th birthday, the Gund Arena was open, or the Q, or the Quicken Loans Arena, or Field Rocket Mortgage House, whatever you want to call it now.
Right.
But so I saw the first Boiler Room Brawl match between Mankind and The Undertaker live.
Holy shit.
I was there for Invasion, because that was here as well. And then at Raw back in 2017, when Goldberg and Brock Lesnar were in the ring, and then boom, lights go out, gong hits, lights come on, Taker's in the ring. That was probably, that was like an 8-year-old me screaming, because it was 21 years apart. You know,
wow.
What I mean? And same building, pretty much around the same seating area.
Yeah.
I got to see him, 20 years later, which I thought was fantastic. But
that's crazy.
I never really thought we would ever see this. Like, we've discussed this before. Like, I never really thought I would see Mark Calloway.
Yeah.
I thought he would be probably, besides Vince McMahon, the only motherfucker to stay true to the character through and through to the end. But I could not be more pleased with this documentary. I hope they release it on hard copy, because I would go out and buy it. Just never open it. I would never open it. I would just keep it. You know what I mean? I'd keep that next to my autographed Hillbilly Jim and, all that stuff. Like, my little wrestling rack that I have. And, but wow.
The only way I would buy it is to open it, take the insert out, have him sign it, reinsert, and shrink wrap some bitch back up.
Yep, exactly. But to touch on something you and Big G were talking about earlier with the Unholy Trinity and stuff.
Right.
I don't know if you remember, but, we're in the NXT chat, and now, both No DQ chat now too and stuff. But then I threw it out there. I'm like, if it's not the APA to have his back, the Acolytes, whatever you want to call them, he's going to pull some Three Faces of Foley shit.
Right.
And by God, it happened.
Yeah. And, okay, what's so funny is they released that little clip of that, the trailer of that, like over in the week going in, and I watched it, I went, I felt so stupid. I was like, how did none of us accept, and I forgot you had said that now that I look back, like, how did we not go there in our heads 2.5 months ago, but you did, so.
Yeah, and, it was, and the fact that he brought his kid into it, too, and let her be seen, and, beautiful little girl, congratulations to you guys, you know what I mean, like, that's all Michelle, but,
well, yeah.
But still, like,
maybe Mark, but yeah.
It's just, I know people like, that in my personal life, friends and stuff that have kids, and anytime they post a picture online, their kid's face is blacked out or has a sticker over it, or,
right.
this, that, and the other, and they're not even remotely in the public eye.
Right.
And then you got someone like Michelle and Mark who are icons, especially Mark. The Undertaker, whatever. I don't even know what to refer him as now.
I know.
Like,
I'm so confused.
Like, what do I do? Like, what do I do with my hands? Is it, But I didn't know his brother.
Awkward.
I didn't know his brother passed away, and when I saw that, man, I just kind of paused it and was like, dude, like, and then he has to go do that match the next day. Like, I know if my brother passed away, I wouldn't be doing anything but next day, but trying to consult people and probably hitting a bottle pretty hard. But
I know for a fact I wouldn't be having a match in a graveyard. That's for sure.
Especially that.
Like, but you know what? That shows exactly who Mark has defined himself as the last 30 years. Like, Hulk Hogan wouldn't have done that at WrestleMania. I'm not digging on Hogan because I love Hogan, but The Undertaker totally would do that. Why am I clicking so much? What the fuck? Hang on a second.
I give him a lot of credit. His respect factor has gone up 10 times more ever since I saw that clip last night, and I watched it this morning. My son came out because he worked with me all weekend and was killing it. He was tired, wanted to play his games last night, so he came out this morning, and I was like, the Undertaker thing was amazing. I put it on for him this morning, and he was just jaw dropped half of the time. He's like, he's 14, and he's still, he gets it. And, will we ever see him return? Like he said, never say never in case of emergency. Break glass,
exactly.
But at this point, after what I saw at WrestleMania with AJ, as a fan, a long time fan,
yep,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I feel that this would be, like he said, the most picture perfect way he could see going out. And, it was phenomenal, to say the least. No pun intended either.
Right.
So
I had made peace with it 3 years ago when he laid his stuff in the ring. I was like, you know what? Fine. But this is it. And I even made it a point to I was walking away. I'm like, you know what? The last remnants of my original fandom are gone. So I'm good. I can walk away. And I don't know if you remember, I actually walked away there for a little while and only came back to ODQ because of circumstances beyond my control. So, but I don't feel the need to walk away this time, but I do feel like that I can be okay as a fan and know that he's okay. And I'm good with it. I'm so bad. I don't understand why I'm clicking so much.
I would have been fine. I would have been fine at 33 when he lost to Roman. And
right.
Put everything in the ring, and did his thing and walked away, and wasn't seen for a while until what? Raw 25, right? Like
right.
Scott, was that his name? Scott.
Right, Scott. Yeah.
Like Scott was saying earlier. I mean, I would have been totally fine with that too. People want to dog shit trash Roman, but who's better right now? I mean, currently he's gone doing. He's
staying healthy.
But at the time, who was better? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Imagine if Brock would have never beat the streak, and that would have been Roman.
Yep. Here's my devil's advocate thing on that. If Roman had been the guy to beat the streak, Vince's attempts to make him be the top babyface would have been completely shot to shit then. Completely shot to shit. Because there's no way the fans would have ever forgiven McMahon for having Roman be the guy. It would never gone over with the fans long term. So
yeah, you do have a point there, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. Going back to the, have you watched any of the little after clips on the network?
Yes.
Yes. So I didn't know those were around until today. So I watched the first two of them.
Okay.
But the fact that he doesn't remember the most significant match in his career,
right,
is just scary. And it just blows my mind. Like, I've never had a concussion like that before or anything like that. So I don't know what that's like, but fuck, man. Like, I can't hear anything you're saying.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay. Yes. I'm on the air, but it's okay. What do you need? Oh, okay. I will momentarily. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so what was I saying?
I don't know.
Shit. Oh hell. You asked me. You asked me something. Damn it. Oh well.
What are we talking about? Yeah, it's concussion deal.
Concussion. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Your eggs do get scrambled, and if it's a significant enough concussion, your short term goes completely haywire. The whole wiring of your neurons goes completely apeshit. So when they talked about him, cheating in the hospital, trying to ask who he was and where he was and what that's no exaggeration. Like I don't recall either of my hospitalizations for a concussion, but I do know that when I first got the bell rung, it was kind of like, okay, where am I? Why am I here? What's going on? It's very foggy. So and the fact that it happened, from what we've all been led to believe, it happened pretty early on in the match. So the fact that the majority of his most iconic loss is nowhere in that brain is like shit. So,
and I wish they would have touched on one more thing though with this documentary. I wish they would have touched on the whole Ministry of Darkness thing a little bit more. I loved that faction. I mean, in my opinion, that Ministry theme music is his best theme music.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's got everything wrapped into one. It's got the hard rock part of it. It's got the tongues and like it's just the dementic part to it. I just thought it was so cool. I wish they would have dove into that a little bit. And we can't forget about Sarah.
No, she gets lost in the shuffle of time because of shit that happened. But it's funny, when she first came along, and you know what, fucking thing drive me crazy. Hang on a second, I'm gonna get my volume up. Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
Good to go.
I can't hear you though. That's not good. Okay, hang on. Speaker input. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
I'm still hearing the clicking. What the fuck? I don't understand this.
I don't know.
Anyway, Sarah gets mentioned a lot because she was on air with him and was on camera with him. But I don't remember the 1998 TV guides that came out with Hogan and Austin and Undertaker. I believe Goldberg were on the 4 covers that particular week. There's a brief little blip about each of them in the TV guide entry, and they mentioned that Mark Calloway has a wife and 2 kids, away from being the Undertaker. And I went, huh. So I think her name was Jody or something like that. It's like nobody ever hears about her anymore. So it was very interesting to hear about Michelle and the girls that he has with her, and not hear about everybody else. But then you think, okay, well, there's probably a reason that Sarah stepped away. And divorcing, there's probably an even bigger reason why we've never heard of Jody or the 2 kids before. So, there's that. So but like I was telling Scott earlier, I pretty much knew the minute the first 10 seconds of the documentary part 1 aired, and it said this chronicled the last 3 years, and for the first Undertaker allowed documentation of his career, I'm like, dude, this is it. This is it right here. It's over.
Yeah, I kind of had that feeling too. And then like yesterday when I went out to smoke at work and I checked my phone, and I see all these freaking spoilers all over Facebook,
right?
Twitter, and I'm like, well, all right, well, I'm going to go home and watch it and see how it goes. I'm going to enjoy it no matter what, because I've enjoyed this whole documentary so far, spoiler free. But, shit happens, but I didn't get to see the exact clip. All I heard was he's reportedly retired. So I was like, all right, I didn't hear exactly how he do it, this, that, and the other, but then goddamn George Strait hits, and it's like, okay, yep, it's happening.
Yeah, I was like borderline welling up throughout the whole thing. That first note, I didn't even see Troubadour on the screen yet. That first note hit, I went, oh fuck. Right? I was done. That was it.
I've never heard that song before.
Oh my god.
Until yesterday. But I felt like I knew it. But as soon as I heard that first twang, I'm like, all right, yep, Yeah.
Yeah.
This is his version of Leave the Memories Alone, and this is it. And I paused it, and I caught my breath real quick for literally like 3 seconds, and then hit it, and game over.
I soldiered through, watched the whole thing. It took a few pauses because of interruptions, because I do have a preteen. You know how that goes. So, and
a 7-month-old. I know all about this.
Dude, you're a troubadour. Jesus. So you just at both ends, brother. Holy crap. But yeah, I got up and I walked through my curtain here because I don't have an actual room preparation. I have a curtain for the rest of the house. And my dad looked at me and goes, "You okay?" I went, "No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just not." And he goes, "Did you retire?" I said, "Yeah, you did." And he went, "Oh my God." Yeah, because my dad and I, part of the enduring memory of WrestleMania 24, as much as it was about Ric Flair, as much as it was about going to Disney World and having one last guy's thing before I became a father for the first time, only time, hopefully, God Almighty. I'm. You got 2 kids. That's good on you. I'm good with my one. I have no hairs to it. So
each their own.
Yeah, but part of that whole heartstring thing was that the Undertaker walked out of the main event of Dad and I's first WrestleMania together as the world champion. It was like you can't ask for a better close on the trip than that, right? So, it's granted, we didn't know about the pyro accident later on because we found out the next morning when Mom was calling us upstairs. "Why did you guys tell me?" I'm like, "Because we're okay. What's going on?" So, but for this to be his, it's like I said with, I don't know if I said it with Scott or with you, the Cowboy Rides Away was so hard for me as a country music fan. I never saw George Strait live in concert. I did have the great fortune of seeing the Dead Man, the American Badass, and the post WrestleMania 20 Undertaker live. So
check that off too.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, but the thing you were talking about, like how you and your dad there, like I get that on a dad level. I went to NXT a few months ago with Donovan, and our seats got moved to front row, and it was the coolest thing ever. And to see him, get fist bumps from Matt Riddle and and like Finn Balor fall off the apron into the barricade and then grab his foot, and it looked like Finn Balor just touched my shoe. Finn Balor just touched, for a 14-year-old kid as a dad, like that was, just that alone was worth everything. Just to see him, how excited he was. So I get that on a dad level coming from a son level from you. So I get that.
Yeah. And, my son is a fan, and he likes the business. He's not, hardcore lover like I am, or like I was when I was his age. But I walked into his room after, I just gave him a hug, and he's, "Daddy, okay?" I said, "I'm not really, Bubba, but I'll be all right. As the day goes on. It's Father's Day, so you gotta buck up and deal with shit." And he said, "What happened?" I said, "The Undertaker retired on the documentary." He went, "Oh," and he got up out of his chair and gave me this hug, like only his son can give a father. Right? I was like, "Oh my God!" Melts away. I'm a puddle. Thank you very much. Yep. Ironically enough, my Father's Day gift to my father was a vintage Attitude Era Undertaker blanket.
Oh, hell yeah.
I had no idea yesterday was happening when I got that blanket. I was like, okay, this is some poetic movie shit. So,
that's really cool, though.
Very bizarre. And then it's just one of those things where he's a part of so many of our histories as fans because he's been around so long that we all have more than one memory of him growing up as a kid, teenager, young adult, into our almost 40s. God help us. So it's he has endured, and I think, like you said, like I said, I think we can be okay with this being the last ride. I think we can. Okay, if anybody's earned a rest in peace, it's definitely Mark Calloway.
Yeah, I mean, when they were talking about how many surgeries he's had, and It's like, dude, holy shit! Like, yeah, go to Hawaii for 3 weeks next time, dude. Like,
seriously,
you know, you've earned it. And obviously, looking at your little setup when they were doing that drone pan away,
right?
Just sitting there, I'm like, man, he's got some property. And
Seriously,
you know,
I could have lived the life he's lived and settle into that ranch and never go anywhere and be totally okay with that.
right? At that point, you've seen it all. You've been everywhere.
I mean,
the only place you probably haven't been was Antarctica.
Like, yeah, and there ain't much there past ice, so I think you're okay.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I mean, you've been all over the world for 30 years. If you weren't performing, you were recovering from a surgery.
Right.
And
just,
if you were recovering from a surgery, you were training to go back to get hurt, and then cycle repeats itself. Like, I'm not saying to get hurt in a dick way.
Right, no.
But still, that's what happens when you're 6'8", 300 some pounds, and you've been throwing your body around for 30 years, and that's not including his college basketball days, his high school basketball days. Who knows if he played other sports being that big?
Right.
Were not mentioned. And then I don't know. I remember being a young boy doing stupid shit all the time. And, so I can only imagine the toll that man has. He's got, a new hip and 2 new hips or whatever?
2, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, take the ride off, man. Your wife's been retired for how long? Enjoy it. You've earned it.
Yeah.
We will always remember you because there ain't going to be no one to ever touch you. There ain't going to be no one to ever come close. Nope. I'm sorry, but you are the Iron Man, in my opinion. You are the creme de la creme, the cherry on top. Take it and ride. I'm cool. If we do see him again, don't get me wrong. I loved it. It's always nice to see him. But again, when it stemmed back to that thing with Goldberg, he was talking about 2 inches, I could have had a broken neck. 2 inches, I could have made my wife a widow and my kids fatherless. I'm glad he's seeing the silver lining and everything and finally doing what he thinks is right in his heart, because he has done everything out there except hold the Intercontinental title. But he doesn't need that. No, he doesn't really. But or the U.S. title or whatever. It's Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy for him. Again, I made a little video on my YouTube channel earlier about this. It was like a couple minutes, but before I log off real quick, I need to get something to eat now too. I fed the kids. Now it's time for Dad to grill up before Raw. But thank you, Mark. Thank you, Undertaker. This was an awesome journey. This was an awesome documentary. It was cool to see another side of him. As a fan, just thank you. So. Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned the Iron Man. I know you got to go. He had career-threatening injuries before the Triple H Rock Iron Man match 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he's just now walking away. That says everything. Yep. So there you go. Colin, thank you very much. I love the insight. I am so jealous of the beard that you've grown in the quarantine. I wish I could have the balls and the temerity with my family to grow that beard. So God bless you, sir. Quarantine. This is way pre-quarantine. I have no chin, so if I lose this, I'm faceless. So thank God that I'm just a hairy bastard and can pull it off. So well, if you have no chin in wrestling, then you are James Ellsworth. So God bless the beard. Respect the beard, as Andy Bryan would say. Take it easy, brother. Take it easy, brother. Be safe, man. Much respect. All right, brother. Much love, man. All right. Cleaver Colin. All right. I'm going to read a comment here. It said, Michelle said it best. His legacy was implanted years ago. There will never be another character developed as great as The Undertaker. There is nothing left for him to accomplish or prove. Cannot agree more. I said it, earlier. I don't know if you were on the stream earlier when before you made that comment, but he's done everything. He's done everything that a
when you get into wrestling, you want to be champion. When you get into wrestling, you want to travel the world. When you get into wrestling, you want to, meet, all kinds of walks of life of people. And he's done all of that. There is not one portion of this world that has access to wrestling that does not know who the Undertaker is. That's just mind-boggling to me that he has that kind of respect and aura and presence that he can go into any. I hate using the word corner of the world because the world is round, folks, but any point on the globe, and somebody somewhere in that region of the world is going to go, "Oh, it's the Undertaker." It's an amazing thing to me that he has had that longevity and had that staying power for 30 years, and even before that as Mean Mark Callis in WCW, and as part of the Skyscrapers in WCW, and in the early part of his career doing the indie stuff. So he's just amazing. I find myself gushing like a little schoolgirl over him. But the comments 100% right, and Michelle did say it last night on the show. His legacy was cemented, 10 years ago, or whatever it was, 8 years ago with Hunter and Shawn, and the Hell in the Cell at the end of an era. And I have said for years that should have been it, and there should have been no streak ending, and there should have been no any of that. So the fact that he, continued to return and continue to grow the character, it speaks of his loyalty to Vince and to the fans and to the company. And I, as a fan, long-term fan, I am grateful, leaps and bounds grateful that he has allowed himself to be on camera and as a performer, and this last 3 years and this last few weeks with the documentary especially, to really get an inside look into Mark Calloway and Michelle and their lives together, and their life together, I should say. And it's weird to think of Mark Calloway now. It's not the Undertaker, right? It's not he's Mark, and he's walking away or riding away. He rode off into the sunset, into the darkness at the Boneyard match in WrestleMania. And it's again, you think about it kind of sort of in the moment, right? You kind of think about that this might be the last time we see him, but it really doesn't. You almost don't want it to be real that this is the last time. When I saw Ric Flair wrestle his match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 24, we all knew it was going to be the last show. Like, we all knew that was going to be the end, but the storytelling of that match sucked me in like a little boy all over again, and I was a complete blubbering idiot the rest of the night. Undertaker winning the main event also was a moment, as I mentioned earlier, because of my dad and I being there together, watching his favorite wrestler become the World Heavyweight Champion again. It was very, very cool and very, very poetic. And that's movie stuff, right? When Shawn Michaels wrestled the Undertaker 2 years later, it's pretty much a given that Undertaker was going to win, that Shawn Michaels was walking away, and we all were able to allow ourselves to process that knowledge, right? This time, Colin said it's like, we almost set ourselves up to think that it would never happen. He would never be the one that would walk away, that he would be like Vince and he would die, as the Undertaker, that he would never completely 100% say, okay, this is it, I'm leaving. And he did it. And it was just so weird that he actually did it. And I don't know if there'll ever be a performer like him ever again, where we will see that kind of thing. Mr. Anderson says, I also hope Undertaker makes an appearance at the Hall of Fame next year in LA. But yeah, I am crossing fingers and toes, everything. Like, oh my God, I I hope beyond hope the quarantine lifts enough where we get WrestleMania here next year. I've got a full list of podcasts lined up and live coverage all ready to go. And I selfishly want The Undertaker to go in the Hall of Fame. I know the class of 2020 really got dicked with this COVID-19 outbreak and they didn't get their moment to shine. I have a problem with that class being the 2021 class because, again, selfishly, I get to see my boy Sean Waltman go in the Hall of Fame for the second time. And I get to see both Hogan's inductions because I was there for Hogan's first one. So I get to see Scott and Kevin go in, which would be cool. And, fandom of Batista or not, it'd be cool to see him get this Hall of Fame induction. And there's a lot of guys on that dais that on that whatever the hell that word is that I would want to see get inducted. So I don't have a problem with that, but more selfishly, I'd rather see The Undertaker because that way I know my dad and I will get to experience that together, and that's just a cool father-son thing. Hello, Ricky. I saw you in both the Twitterverse and YouTube. I was just in the middle of a promo, so bear with me. I see you, Ricky. Scott has a great question. Who inducts Taker for the Hall of Fame? It has to be Vince, possibly Shane or Kane. I think if anybody is going to be the one to induct The Undertaker, it has to be Vince McMahon. It has to be Vince, much like Vince inducted Stone Cold Steve Austin because it was Stone Cold Steve Austin. I still feel Vince inducted Hulk Hogan. That didn't happen. They had Sly do it. Whatever. But then again, Vince was down for the count. He was still recovering from his from the quad tears at the Rumble. So maybe that's why Sly got the nod. I don't know. But I don't think there could be any other choice except Vince McMahon. Shane is a great friend of his, so maybe Shane McMahon, maybe Kane, but I'd like to see Shane do it. Honestly, Shane has never inducted somebody on a televised full-length Hall of Fame show. I believe he either inducted or accepted for his grandfather, Vincent J, in '96. We haven't seen Shane do a full-on speech, and finding out how close he was to Undertaker during the course of this documentary and the post-mortem series, Shane probably be my number one choice. And I'll retract what I said earlier, maybe Vince. It should be Shane. If anybody's going to do it, it should be Shane McMahon. That's how I feel. Yeah. So, all right. Again, I appreciate you guys letting me babble on and on as I do on these shows. But there's the link there at the bottom. Let me see if I can point to it as it goes by. Get the cursor out of the way. There you go. There it is. I don't know who this is, so I'll go ahead and just add to the stream, and we will see. Oh, it's Drew.
Hey.
Hi, Drew. How are you, brother?
It's going good. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, brother. It's crazy that I haven't seen you in over a year because the last time I saw you in person was here at the house, right?
Actually, we went to SmackDown on Fox Live over at the Staples Center. Remember that? We saw, what's his name? What's that actor's name? David Arquette, former WCW champion. Ran into him.
I forgot that we were all there together. I remember Aaron and I go. God, that night is such a blur.
In your defense, it was a very forgettable show. Cain Velasquez came and went.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of the most underwhelming WWE runs in the history of mankind. Speaking of mankind, and we'll get to I know you've got Undertaker memories at the wazoo because you've been a fan almost as long as I have. So share with me, brother. Lay it on me. What do you got?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I got sucked into wrestling in 2007, believe it or not, by the John Cena Kevin Federline feud, where they actually had a match on Raw, and it was much watched television. I had to watch it, and on that show, I saw Undertaker stuff, I saw Batista stuff, I saw Edge stuff, and those three guys turned out to be my three favorite wrestlers. And soon enough, after WrestleMania 23, which hooked me in again with that Donald Trump hair drama, that was the only reason I turned into Monday Night Raw the next day. I was treated to a hell of a show. In time, I got to my first Monday Night Raw show in 2007, and shoot, Undertaker wasn't there. But the first time I saw Undertaker was at WrestleMania 25, where he had his match with Shawn Michaels,
Nice.
and I saw the greatest match of all time.
Yeah.
Nothing can really touch it. I saw it live. I had my own personal reactions to it. I saw a crowd of almost 80,000 people reacting to it, and seeing such a spectacle like that, and also having it being my first WrestleMania was really special.
Right.
The very next year, I saw him at WrestleMania 26, where he retired Shawn Michaels.
Wow.
And it almost seems poetic that now Undertaker's retiring, and we have to ask ourselves, is it the last time we ever see him? Will he come back? Will he pull a Ric Flair? Or will he pull actually, no one's been able to stay away, and I was about to say Shawn Michaels, but will he stay away forever? That's the big question here.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, I don't know if you caught the whole show or not. I was saying for years that I always thought Shawn Michaels would be the one guy that would stick to it, and it would always be the one to never come back. And then that Saudi money came a rolling in, so it is what it is. I feel though, if anybody is actually, and again, I almost hesitate to say this because it bit me in the ass 10 years ago. But I think if one single person is going to say, I'm hanging it up, and he stays hung up, I think it's going to be Mark Calloway.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But hanging it up, like he's left his boots in the ring before, he's goodbye. He's done this number before. Remember this one?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dozens and dozens of times. Right. And, I think I honestly have to be honest with you. The reactions to that, him walking away, have gotten lower and lower and lower. It's gotten to be less of a roar and, thank you, Taker.
Right.
And more of a thank you, Taker, like in the background in a very low pitched voice. Almost no children even left.
Right.
Yeah, it's a sad tale. I commented earlier, I think Undertaker still has a role in the WWE as part of the Viking Raider Street Profits Ninja Cinematic Universe.
Okay.
Anything's possible with these guys.
Hey, if they are willing to continue this cinematic nonsense throughout this quarantine stuff, and if the moment presents itself, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't want to believe that's the case, just because I think that as entertaining as the stuff with the Vikings and the Prophets and the Ninjas has been, I want to believe that Undertaker's gimmick is a little above that class. You know what I mean? So, but that's just,
Absolutely. It's a matter of respect.
Right. I hear you. So,
respecting the brand, Undertaker. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Your first WrestleMania was that. My first WrestleMania was only the second one he missed, because I was at 2000 in Anaheim. He was at Access, and I had the line been shorter and my friends less impatient, I probably would have met him that day. So didn't get to do it, and I haven't met him yet, and I'm hoping he has a lower priced meet and greet here out in LA here pretty soon, because I can't afford what he's been charging out here the last 2 times. So, but we shall.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been talking to my friend about it and what Undertaker's future looks like, and yeah, it's a done deal. He's not going to step into the ring again. He may do cinematic skits.
Right.
He may even step into the ring for AEW and take a bump or 2, but that's down the line, isn't it?
I don't know about him working for anybody but Vince. I think he's proven he's so loyal to Vince that it just.
Look what happened in the last year. He did those conventions that Vince didn't want him to do. For ungodly amounts of money.
Well, but if you remember, he did not work StarCast, which was a huge AEW presence. He very much was like, oh shit, sorry, my bad. So yeah, so.
And that was a Vince move, no doubt about it. That was him pulling strings.
Totally,
you know.
and you know what? I think, and this is probably gonna get me in heat with people that support Starcast and AEW or whatever, but I think if anybody that's not a full timer should not appear at a non-WWE event, it shouldn't be the Undertaker, because Kurt Angle, after he had come back, like, okay, Kurt Angle is an ambassador of wrestling, period. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He was a wrestler his whole life. The Undertaker, with the exception of the first handful of moments pre-1990, he is a WWE guy through and through. And for him to appear at an event that is heavily AEW centric would have been disastrous. So, he did the Frankenstein's a couple years ago that was priced so much I had to sell a kidney to try to afford the tickets. He did the LAX thing earlier this year, which I would have gone to had I not been in Vegas at the time. So, I totally understand that he, felt the loyalty, and I highly doubt, although again, as he even said, never say never. I will never say never about him going anywhere else, but I very much have faith in my 30 years of fandom in saying that I don't think it will ever happen, that he will leave the WWE family for AEW, the NWA, Impact, whatever the case may be. So
that's a good headline there. Yeah, that's yeah. I think you said it all there.
Well, I tend to do on these shows. That's why it's called Talk Wrestling with Jeff Meacham. I tend to talk a little too much, and don't let my guests talk. So I apologize.
You can use that as a headline. Jeff Meacham talks Undertaker in AEW. How about that?
There you go. That's why I get marketing people do my shit for me. Stuff like that right there. That's golden stuff. Drew, I thank you very much for coming on. I know you don't live super far from me, so let's not try to make it too long between visits again, sir.
Absolutely not. Let me ask you one question before I go.
Yes,
you were talking about you want to get your hands on that wrestling DVD of this Undertaker promo. I have some thoughts on this on the series that I watched.
Okay.
But we'll get onto that later. What's your favorite wrestling DVD that's ever come out?
Oh my God! On the spot.
Off the top of your head.
Honestly, right off the top of my head, Rise and Fall of ECW.
Got some good matches on there.
It's the greatest. The matches, just the documentary itself. That's the greatest documentary up until about 6 weeks ago. So it is the reason that my buddy Rob was allowed to go, hey Vince, there's money here. So, and granted, the ECW relaunch, disaster, but the initial one night stand, and I dare say even the second one night stand and the first ECW on Sci-Fi, for the most part, looked like it was going to be okay, right? Everything past that was like, oh God, here we go. So, but I think without the Rise and Fall of ECW DVD documentary, there would have been no one night stand, and there would have been no those moments from both those shows. So that's one of my favorites. The WrestleMania 20 DVD release was very good. 3 discs. One full disc itself was the Mania of WrestleMania movie that they shot around WrestleMania 19, where they're talking about like the history of WrestleMania and all that stuff. That was very well done. WrestleMania 20 itself is a great WrestleMania. The matches are solid. I dare say it's the last front to back great WrestleMania we've had. So
yeah, I can totally see your opinion. Oh, and I respect your opinion on the ECW thing. But speaking as the voice of the new fan that only started watching in 2007,
right?
One Night Stand 2008 was better than both of those shows. That was
Undertaker Edge TLC, right? Okay, that was a damn good show, without question. I think unfortunately the one night stands after the ECW label was removed get shit on unjustifiably.
Street rules.
Right.
It was the start of that branding. We want to have a pay-per-view where all the matches are fucking ladder matches or any of that ballyhoo.
Yeah, I cannot stand the proliferation of over gimmicked pay-per-views. It drives me crazy. I hate it so much. And I said that from the beginning. My fandom my entire time. It's like, why can't we just have 1-on-1, 2-on-2? Sometimes an occasional cage match every so often, occasional ladder match, not a pay-per-view with all cages lockdown, or a pay-per-view with all TLC matches or whatever. It's like, really, guys? Do you really have to get this involved in it? We have a question in the comment room saying, have we ever seen the Chris Benoit Hard Knock documentary? Yes, I own that DVD. I got it before you couldn't buy it anymore, and I love it. I love his whole story. I love see, that's the Chris Benoit I wish we were allowed to remember, right? Like that whole story of his beginning of his career up until returning home to Edmonton for Backlash as the world champion. That is just pure Hollywood movie shit right there. That's just so good. And I think that I wish he would have been able to call it a career after he lost the title to the Orton. Because we wouldn't, I don't know if we'd be in the situation we're in with him now. It sucks. Ricky Lawson says his favorite is the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD. Not a fan of that one at all. And I don't like the Warrior. I'll be honest with you. I never did. But they were really hard on him in that. Like they really tore him to shreds. So not a fan of that one. Apparently the guy that asked about the Benoit Hard Knocks DVD was at him versus Kevin Sullivan in the Clash of the Champions. Well, I'm glad you're still in one piece after that match, because they were all over the damn arena. They were crazy. They were crazy in Baltimore. They're just, him and Kevin were nuts cuckoo with each other. So anyway, I'm babbling on and on. I need to get back on track here. So Drew, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on. Again, I might be in your neck of the woods on Saturday.
Okay, dope.
Nothing for sure yet. I have to talk with the people I'm trying to get together with. But if I end up going down there, I will find a way to get a hold of you first, and we'll maybe do a quick early dinner or something.
Be a pleasure, my brother.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Well, actually, my two favorite wrestling DVDs.
Oh, yes.
This is the greatest wrestling superstars of the 90s. This has some of the best matches that ever freaking happened. This has Sting versus Bret Hart on it. This has Undertaker versus Stone Cold, but not at Over the Edge, of course. It has, it has all of the it has features on all of the greatest superstars, and I'll open it for you because, of course, that's the best part of WWE DVDs. Yeah, it's classic. And the other one.
Hang on. Open the 90s one again and show me the shot of Hogan from the left side. Was that like a 99 Hogan? Go the other way. Go. Wow, that's like a 1993 Hogan shot. Holy crap! He's got the yellow and red. Damn, that's like a rare shot you never see. Holy crap! Okay, go ahead. I'm good.
Did him good. They did him good. Yeah, they did a good job on this one.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that shot's from King of the Ring '93.
It's a keeper. That's a handsome man.
That's a great shot of Hulk, and I would definitely have him sign on that picture. So anyway, and I love the other one that you showed. That's awesome. That's a great, very underrated DVD for sure.
Him with SmackDown versus Raw one year. Yeah, it was a total grab. What they did on each WrestleMania, they have like a 10-minute feature on each one, and the one on WrestleMania 9, can't miss.
Yeah. Again, people shit on 9. I love WrestleMania 9, and my best friend for many years was at WrestleMania 9. He had a full experience to tell me about when we became friends. So it was really cool to relive that with him as we watched it over the years. So, and that was actually my first WrestleMania I watched the whole way through live. So that was really cool too.
It's a living.
Has to be, right? You got to do something to keep the kids during this damn quarantine crap. So, all right, brother. Thank you so much. I enjoy. I need to have you on more often, dude. I miss talking to you on a regular basis. So let's not be strangers too long again.
Absolutely, sir. You have a good time. Enjoy Monday Night Raw, everybody.
I shall do that when I watch at 8:00 my time. Take care, brother. All right. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate that. Drew, I met through a dear friend of mine named Jessica, who was a fan of wrestling for many, many years. I met her actually through Disney because I'm a Disney dork as well, as you guys probably know. And if you don't know, now you do. That's just one of the many things I have. Disney shit everywhere. I just don't show the whole room because it's a train wreck in here. But she is a Disney super fan, and we met at one of their 24-hour days they had Disneyland many, many years ago. Actually, many 6 years ago now, maybe even a little bit, maybe even 5. And I met Drew through her because Drew and her have been friends forever. So thank you, Drew. Appreciate that. Our friend in Saudi Arabia says Taker versus Orton was my first memory of the Undertaker. Orton counting the choke slam and RKO was unreal. I did see that earlier. I just was in stride on my promo, so I apologize for not saying it earlier. You're welcome to come on, man. Like I said, the link's there in the crawl there if you want to the scroll there if you want the ticker. That's what I'm putting. The word is ticker, Jeff. I've been doing this for 6 months. I should know what the ticker is by now, right? Please feel free to come on in and join us. But I think if we don't have anybody else in the queue, which I don't see, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you to everybody for being on today. It was my complete pleasure to share my memories of the Undertaker with you guys. Have everybody share theirs with you. It was an amazing time. Thank you very much for being on and talking about Undertaker today. I will get back into normal programming Wednesday on Wrestling Rewind when we go into full-on discussion and watch-along of the 2001 edition of, if I can find it, which I can't because the world hates me. I'll load it up. Hang on a second. If I do that. King of the Ring 2001. This coming week on Wrestling Rewind. It'll be Wednesday's show. So there you go. And then Thursday will be the No DQ review. Don't know if I'm going to be on there or not yet. Haven't decided if I'm going to be on. So I don't know. But that'll be Thursday. If I'm on there, then you'll see me. If I'm not, then, well, you won't. So it's just as simple as that. So, and then Friday, of course, will be the weekly NoDQ.com Wrestling Trivia Challenge, which happens each and every Friday on the Greg Cherry brand at youtube.com/Greg Cherry brand. And immediately following Wrestling Trivia Challenge on that channel, you can come over here with me, the winner of the match, and our resident stat boy, if he's available, Mike Caldwell, and you can come on and the NoDQ.com Wrestling Trivia Challenge post-game wrap-up. That'll be on Friday this week, so keep that in mind. I'm getting comments, so I'll go ahead and check it out real quick here. Yes, please, guys, come on next time. I have no problem having anybody on these shows ever, as long as I've got relevant discussion to talk about. Of course, you saw Colin Andrew earlier, the Cleaver. You can see him and the Wizard of Osborne, Stephen R. Osborne, and the General Jerry Slaughter. Gentleman Jerry Slaughter, excuse me, on Aftermatch Wrestling on YouTube. And I love that banner. I'm so proud of that banner I did with Scarlett on it. She's just adorable. Love her to pieces. And of course, you can catch everybody in the No DQ galaxy at NoDQ.com on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and Riffs on Facebook as well. And Twitter and Instagram, you can catch the Boss Man all over the place. He's awesome. And of course, you can catch every single show. Do blue plugs first. You can catch me on Teespring at store/Jeff Network. You can buy everything you see there, including the shirt I'm wearing today. This is the first time I've been on one of my shows, I think, with this shirt. I may have worn it Saturday. I don't remember. But this is the official network logo shirt. I'm very proud of this shirt. I'm very grateful to my buddy Greg Clifton, who I've known since second grade. So that's 1990. 30 years of friendship. So there you go. Can't go wrong with that. Amazing guy. Love him to pieces. He designed this for me. It's more red in the actual logo than it is on the picture, but on the picture here. But I love the logo. It's too cool for school. Don't forget, I'm gonna try to get the show if I can help it on Anchor. So be checking out anchor.fm/Jeff Meacham Network for all of our audio podcasts. Usually have Rewind up there to go along with watching the shows. If you don't want to watch my ugly mug and Greg call it live on video, you can watch us on audio. So there is that. So with that, I say thank you very much to everybody that was on today. Thank you very much to everybody that's been a part of the network the last 6 months. It's greatly appreciated. And we will see you guys Wednesday right here on the Jeff Meacham Network.